Maria, I want to flip the script today, and instead of being the target of your deep philosophical questions, I will ask you a question.
I'm ready anytime. Shoot.
Are you the type of person that forgives and forgets easily, or do you hold a grudge?
I forget way too much for my own good.
Oh,
Yes, I forget everything. I forget the movie I watched last week. And fortunately, when I was growing up, my mother would remind me of everything. It's like, do you remember this friend of yours did this to you? It's like, oh, yeah. So fortunately, I have memory keepers in my family and friends,
oh.
but I do forget.
Well,
What
that
about
sounds
you?
really healthy. Oh, what about me
Yeah.
holding grudges?
You're not going to ask me a question and not expect to be asked the same.
I think it really depends for me. I tend to hold on to things that are really little that don't matter, but I do a fairly good job of when something is important, especially within family, with people that you love, of forgetting, forgiving, and not letting bad blood stick around between people.
I think it was Audrey Hepburn that said that the secret to happiness is a good memory, a bad memory.
That's really good. But did you hear what I said about bad blood?
No,
I'm hinting really, really strongly about bad blood between people.
I guess this is the phrase we're going to explore today
Ding,
in
ding, 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 ding,
just
ding,
the
ding.
Spanish phrase.
That's right. Just a Spanish phrase where we dive deep into the origins, the cultural context, and just the joy of expressions in the Spanish language. We do it here in English, of course, because we want to open this up to a wide audience. But in News in Slow Spanish, our main parent program, we discuss current events, cultural topics, and all sorts of issues using expressions just like this one, que en español es
Mala sangre.
mala
That's bad
sangre.
blood, right?
That's right.
Literally. Yeah. Mala
Exactly.
sangre.
And we use it in a variety of ways because we talk about mala sangre entre dos personas, bad blood between two people. But I remember growing up, my grandmother, again, grandmothers, we're going to talk a lot about grandmothers on Just a
We
Spanish
have
Phrase.
already, yes.
Yes.
Abuelitas are a staple in Latino cultures, and we're both Latino. So bear
We
with
have a
us.
lot of baggage with our abuelitas. But she would always tell me, no hagas mala sangre. No te hagas mala sangre. Don't make bad blood. In other words, she was telling me, don't make your blood, your own blood, bad.
Yes, yeah. It's like you don't poison yourself
Mm-hmm.
with another person or another, issue. Like keep yourself clean. That's very beautiful. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And thank you for using that word because that segues perfectly into the origin of this expression. You said, don't poison yourself. And that's where it comes from. Now, mala sangre in Espanol, bad blood in English, they're the same, right?
Yeah.
In both English and Spanish, bad blood, mala sangre, it comes from an ancient belief, going back a long, long time, hundreds of years, humanity has had this belief, this idea that the blood and the fluids in the body in general, but blood being the most important of them, is where disease and also emotions, especially negative emotions, can reside. So when people spoke about having bad blood, they were referring to not only disease, literal disease, but also negative emotions. So they believed literally that anger, that rage, that holding on to grudges poisoned your blood.
Which it's not crazy to think of,
No,
right?
no.
And it's the equivalent of what we say right now: good vibes, bad vibes. I guess. Oh, instead of saying buena vibra, good vibe, we used to say buena sangre or mala sangre.
Yeah, probably. But it also led to some questionable practices. Like, have you heard of bloodletting?
Yes.
Yep. So the idea that intentionally bleeding a patient would restore their health.
Clean them, yeah. Or using sanguijuelas. How do you call that in English?
Leeches.
Exactly.
Yes, and that's where I was going to go next, which is such gross idea, but it's actually still practiced around the world because leeches really do a very good and sanitary job, apparently, of cleaning up wounds. I think they can be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've never had it done. I'm not recommending it here for any listeners. I'm not saying you should go out
Yeah,
and
kids
find
don't
a.
do this at home.
No, kids do not find leeches at home and put them on your open wounds.
Ugh.
But it all comes back to the same idea that blood was the most important fluid in the body, the life-giving fluid, but it also, because it was so important, contained the animus, the positive vibes, but also the negative emotions and energies that flowed through people. So that's where it comes from. And that's why we say mala sangre when there is a fight, a rivalry. That's another way to use it in Spanish. Mala sangre entre dos personas can be like, a long-standing argument, maybe like between family members or, people that aren't related, but also rivalries, like sometimes in sports when there's a rivalry that gets ugly,
The Real Madrid and the Barça, the
Mhm.
Red Sox and the
Yankees.
yes, for
Mhm.
example.
And if it ever turns to violence between fans, that's an example of mala sangre. But what else can you think of in the world right now?
Well, I was just thinking about a documentary I watched yesterday called Apocalypse in the Tropics
Ooh.
about the political situation in Brazil and the deep divide between Bolsonaro supporters and Lula da Silva supporters, and how there's a lot of mala sangre between those two. Remember, I think Lula da Silva won like pretty much it was 49% versus 51%. It was a
It was
very,
razor
very
thin.
narrow election. And I really recommend that documentary because it also talks about the influence of religious movements in politics. And it's very depressing and scary. So if you want
Mhm.
guys to have mala sangre after watching something,
No, but
watch Apocalypse in the Tropics. It's on Netflix.
but really appropriate to this discussion because we're talking about a situation where politics are getting infused with religious and personal beliefs, and that leads to that vitriol, right? I mean, we see examples of this all over the world. Anywhere where there's a conflict zone, even, there are usually people on both sides that have long-standing rivalries or reasons to be upset at each other, bad blood. I mean, here too, domestically, the political situation, we've gone beyond the point of just a ideological rivalry. People's emotions, people's identities are wrapped up into their political
It's
affiliations.
yes, and it's like political figures are becoming cult leaders.
Mm.
And I would see in this documentary people crying when either Lula or Bolsonaro won or lost. They were like it was really a matter of life and death. You saw it here. I saw it in Venezuela. People like making the sign of the cross in front of a Chavez
Oh, wow.
painting. So again, it's not anymore political figures. It is cult leaders, and
Hmm.
people really have mala sangre when it comes to even trying to have a dialogue with the opponents. And I think democracy is all about dialogue, it's all about governing for everybody, not only for my supporters. And it's bad to have mala sangre in politics.
Yeah. But when there are leaders who stoke those fires, who stoke the power of mala sangre, of bad blood, because it's a powerful tool,
Divide and conquer.
Exactly.
Classic. Yes.
When there are people who do that, it makes, you just mentioned, and I completely agree with you, the dialogue is the way out of that. That's the most powerful tool in democracy is communication
Yeah, even
between
debate.
people.
Like we don't have to agree in our ideas, but if
Yeah.
we debate them in a respectful way, but if you even like removing debate from academia, from
Yeah.
television, from media, you're only left with passions, with blood, with mala
Mhm.
sangre, with like
Y con
passion.
tanta mala sangre, a conversation becomes nearly impossible.
Exactly.
So speaking of conversation,
Ours is over for the day.
ours is over, but we do continue our conversations for our subscribers at News and Slow Spanish in a feature called Rooms. If we've heard of it here before, it is a platform for people to join rooms
for subscribers to News in Slow Spanish. So it's a
Yes.
safe platform where you can practice conversation in Spanish. You can be beginner, intermediate, or advanced. You pick your own room, and you will have 4 other subscribers, or maybe one of us, having a nice conversation about any topic you like.
Good conversations that will help us diffuse, dilute, and get rid of all this mala sangre.
There you go. Hasta la próxima. See you next time.
Bye.